very much. So the winner of this month's poll was called Play Lead and Chords Together. This is from Tim Williams. Tim, thank you for the idea. That one won the poll. And this is a subject that I really, really love. I've covered it a few times in exclusive videos as well as a couple of videos on YouTube. The exclusive videos that you should look for are called chord and scale nesting. I'm going to do an example of that when we zoom in here. That's a technique that I believe is formative for this idea of blending these two things together. And the other video that's on the YouTube channel is called Blending Rhythm and Lead. I'll put links to those videos in the description so you can click right to them if you want to get some further education on this stuff. Okay, so we're going to zoom in. I'm going to give you basically what I believe is the core capability to be able to play lead and chords together. So no matter what level of sophistication the chord progression has, the chords or scales you're using, all of that is secondary to the capability of being able to play lead and chords together, right? To be able to put them together. This lesson is based on the idea that I'm going to build that capability. We're going to build that capability with these exercises. But here's the critical thing, the most important thing. When you read through this tab and when you watch this video, know that this is the beginning. This is a starting point. And what we're doing here is building a capability that then you are responsible for to take to the next level. Insert new chords, insert new scales, play those things together, right? Get really curious and take the capability and nurture it and build it, because that's where you ultimately get real musical application capability. Is not just to see this as a one-off thing. Oh, I learned Chris's play, lead, and chords together thing, so now I got it. Take it, keep taking it further. That's how you build real musical capability. Okay, let's zoom in. I'll stop blathering and I'll start teaching you something. Here we go. Okay, playing lead and chords together is a bit unique because you can't really get it from just looking at a single example. You have to adopt a capability and a new technical capability. And the way to do that is not necessarily to just look at examples, but understand the basic underpinnings and the mechanism of how to do it. Blah, 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 blah. Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to be in the key of A. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a chord progression, just a simple cadence of chords, and I'm going to stitch them together with that scale, with the A major scale. And those chords are going to be A. I'm going to be using triads on the D, G, and B string. The chords are going to be A, D, E, A. Then I'm going to reverse it and go backwards. I'm going to play A, E, D, A. Each time I switch chords, I'm going to build a little scale fragment that connects them together. Let me play it for you first, and then I'll sort of tear it apart. Very, very pretty and very, very easy. The idea here is that we're building a skill to play chords, play scales, stitch it together, play the next chord. That's what we're after, that capability. And as you'll see at the end, you can tie this to any sort of soundscape you want. Any chord, any scale, it's the capability we're building. So here's what I'm doing. Again, I'm on the D, G, and B string. I'm playing triads. Right? I'm playing those triads, and what I'm doing, playing the chord, then I'm going to stitch it together with a 4-note phrase from the scale. And on my way up the neck, I'm going to start on the middle string, on this G string. I'm just going to start with a note that's in the triad already. Then I move up to the D chord and do the same thing. Move up to the E chord, do the same thing. Notice how there's a half step here now. I'm just following the scale. Now on the way down, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to start with the top note of the chord and play the scale fragment from there. Notice how I'm changing my fingering so I can get the notes below the chord this time. Here's the whole thing nice and slow. Now, when you get the tabs for this, when you dig into the tabs, what I'd love for you to do is, as soon as you can, get off of the paper, right? Get away from the paper. What I want you to do is see the scale underneath these chords so you can start connecting this stuff on the fly, and you don't need to reference the paper. You can reference the information that's on the fretboard. This does require got the scale, all over the neck, which I encourage massively. Okay, so one more thing about this specific exercise, and that is I've tabbed this part out. What I now want you to do, if you're curious and you've got the energy and you really want to go after this capability, do it with these voicings. And this one here. And I'll show you an example of that. Tricky right there. We did this one already. Now starting here, check this out. Right? And then of course build that going down as well. That's your assignment. If you get the tabs down, get it in that one position, but then again, the curiosity and the passion to so go get this as a capability should expand you off of the page as soon as possible. One more thing I want to show you, and that is this is a capability more than it's an exercise or an example. So you can do this with any chord and any sound, any scale and any chord that you ever come across. We're building the technique with these major triads to get the technique down. But when you can see past the chord and see the scale and the chord as sort of coming from the same thing, then you can apply any chord and any scale you want. Let me give you a couple of examples. Here's major, right? We've already done that. What if I want to do this with minor? I would have to switch to A minor. Got to be able to see that scale underneath my hands here, and then do the same thing. Right? Same exact idea, but I'm playing a minor version of it, right? Which just gives me a peek into the future, right? I can do this with any sound, any chord, and any scale. Here's another example. What about Lydian? Lydian has a sharp 4 in it. So that would look like this. Right? Same exact idea. Taking a regular triad, root position triad, and I'm applying, projecting a different sound underneath it. More exotic example would be Phrygian dominant. This chord comes from the harmonic minor scale. Right? I'm just putting a different scale here. You've got to know the formulas and you've got to know the triads and stuff. But the idea here is that we're taking a very simple capability and we're realizing that what we're building here is a capability that's expandable through any sound you can come across. Okay, a fairly simple idea, just playing those triads, stitching together with that little bit of a scale fragment. And then at the end, you saw me basically say, you can do this with minor chords, you can do this with dominant chords, you could do it with major 7 chords, but just insert any chord, insert any scale, play them together using this exact same capability. Now the example was using that middle string in the triad. Try the top string, try the lower string, try a 4-part chord. Like that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying we're building a capability. You can use this capability to put any chord in, start on any string, put any scale in, use that scale fragment to take it to the next chord. You can even change scales when you get to that new chord, right? It's this underlying capability that remains solid and stable throughout all that stuff, right? It transcends the genre, the type of music you play, and it really is a core capability. Okay, thanks so much again.